I overheard my daughter's chilling words. He should go to a nursing home. My Julie, plotting to sell our family home for $800,000 while I still lived in it. I said nothing, sold the house, and left a note that shattered her world when she returned from vacation. Before we continue, please subscribe to the channel and let us know where you were listening in the comments. The ceramic mug felt warm against my weathered palms when the phone rang. World's best dad. The faded letters still visible after 20 years. I set it on the stone mantle and reached for the receiver, adjusting my reading glasses. "Hi, Dad. How are you doing? How's your garden coming along?" Julie's voice always brightened my evenings. I settled deeper into my leather armchair, watching flames dance in the fireplace. "Hi, sweetheart. Everything's wonderful. Planted new roses by the gazebo yesterday. The yellow ones you loved as a child." "That sounds beautiful, Dad. I bet the daffodils are gorgeous right now." "They're spectacular this year. The whole garden's waking up. How's work treating you?" "Busy as always, but good. The new project keeps me running, but I can't complain about the paycheck." I traced the phone cord between my fingers, content in our familiar rhythm. Outside my window, evening light painted the lake golden. "And how's your health, Dad? Are you taking those vitamins I brought last month?" "Every morning with breakfast, just like you instructed, though I still think that fish oil tastes terrible." Her laugh warmed me more than the crackling fire. These evening calls had become precious since Mary passed. Julie always checked on me, always cared. "Dad, I need to grab something from the kitchen real quick. Don't hang up, okay?" "Of course, sweetheart." I heard her footsteps fade, then return. But something was different. A distant quality to the sound, as if she'd forgotten to bring the phone close to her ear. "Are you serious about this?" Another voice, unfamiliar. My hand tightened around the receiver. Julie was speaking, but not to me. "Of course I'm serious. He should go to a nursing home. This house is worth around $800,000. We need that money now, not when he's 90. The words hit like cold water. I froze in my chair, barely breathing. "What about Russell? Is he on board with this plan?" "He suggested it first, actually. Dad's getting too old for such a big place anyway. He rattles around in there like a ghost." My daughter, my Julie, discussing my life like I was already dead. "When are you thinking of making the move?" "Soon. We just need to figure out the logistics. Russell knows about good facilities in Detroit. Dad won't fight us on it. He never fights us on anything important." The phone cord cut into my palm where I gripped it. 30 years I'd spent building this house. Every board, every nail, every careful detail crafted with my own hands. Mary and I had dreamed of grandchildren running through these halls. He'll probably be relieved, honestly. All that maintenance must be overwhelming for someone his age. Overwhelming. At 68, I still climbed ladders to clean gutters, still tended my garden each morning, still cooked my own meals and managed every bill. The timing works perfectly. I need money for that Mexico trip anyway. Mexico. She was planning vacation while planning my exile. "Julie, are you there?" Her voice suddenly clear again, directed at me. I forced my voice steady. "Still here, sweetheart." "Sorry about that." "Where were we?" "Oh yes, your vitamins." As if nothing had happened, as if she hadn't just carved up my future like a Sunday roast. "Dad, you're quiet. Everything all right?" "Just enjoying the fire. It's peaceful here tonight." "That's wonderful. Listen, I should probably go. Long day tomorrow." "Of course. Sleep well, Julie." "Love you, Dad." "Love you too." The dial tone buzzed in my ear. I held the receiver until the sound stopped, until silence filled the room, except for wood crackling in the grate. My coffee had gone cold. The flowers outside looked different now, not like renewal, but like something ending. I set the phone in its cradle with deliberate care. My hands weren't shaking anymore. Something deeper than shock was settling in my chest, something harder than hurt. The fire popped, sending sparks up the chimney. I watched them rise and disappear, thinking about words that couldn't be taken back. I stayed in that chair for hours. The fire died to embers while I replayed every word. He never fights us on anything important. 24 years since I'd changed Julie's diapers, taught her to ride a bike, walked her down the aisle. This was how she saw me, weak, disposable. The grandfather clock chimed midnight. My legs felt stiff when I finally stood. The house stretched dark around me, full of memories that suddenly felt different. Every family photo on the mantel seemed to mock me now. I walked through rooms Mary and I had furnished with such hope. The kitchen where Julie used to sit at the counter doing homework while I cooked dinner. She'd stolen carrots from my cutting board and complained about math problems. Now she saw this space as dollar signs. At the hallway, school pictures lined the wall. Julie at 7 with pigtails, Russell at 10, missing his front teeth. Their proud faces beaming at achievements I'd celebrated like my own victories. Science fair ribbons, basketball trophies, honor roll certificates, every milestone funded by my construction wages, every dream supported by my sacrifice. The master bedroom felt especially hollow. Mary's side of the bed remained untouched, her reading glasses still on the nightstand. What would she say about her children now? Would she defend them or share my disgust? "This house will always be our fortress, Lester," she'd whispered during her final days. "Promise me the children will cherish it." I'd promised, but children grow into strangers who see inheritance instead of legacy. Sleep was impossible. I returned to the kitchen and sat at the table where we'd shared thousands of meals. The empty chairs seemed to judge me. Had I been too generous, too trusting? Mary always said I spoiled them. Dawn crept through the windows, painting everything gray. I pulled on my bathrobe and stepped outside. April morning air bit through the cotton, but I needed the cold. The roses I'd mentioned to Julie yesterday drooped with dew. We'd planted them together when she was 8, her small hands patting soil around the roots. "These will be beautiful when I'm grown up, won't they, Daddy?" The memory felt poisoned now. I knelt beside the bushes, pressing weathered palms against the earth. 40 years of my labor had built this sanctuary. Every stone in the walkway placed with purpose. Every tree planted for future shade I'd never see if Julie had her way. Russell's treehouse still hung in the old oak, weathered but sturdy. I'd taught him to use a hammer there, patiently guiding his small hands. "Measure twice, cut once, son." Now he was measuring my life, calculating my worth. The lake reflected sunrise, peaceful as always. But peace felt like luxury I could no longer afford. My children wanted me warehoused. They needed me gone to claim their prize. Standing in my garden as day broke, surrounded by everything I'd built and loved, I felt something shifting inside. Not just hurt anymore, not just betrayal, something colder, more purposeful. I walked back inside as the phone began ringing. "Dad, good morning." Julie's voice sparkled with artificial brightness. "Hope I'm not calling too early." 9 o'clock on Saturday morning. She sounded different, excited, slightly nervous. I wrapped my fingers around the receiver, forcing warmth into my voice. "Not at all, sweetheart. I've been up for hours working in the garden. What's got you so cheerful today?" "Well, something wonderful happened. Remember my friend Sarah from work? She invited me and the girls to Mexico. Cancun. Can you believe it? 2 weeks of beaches and sunshine." Mexico. The same trip she'd mentioned during last night's conspiracy. I pulled a pen and notepad toward me, writing, "Mexico, 2 weeks" at the top. "That sounds absolutely wonderful, Julie. You work so hard. You deserve a real vacation. The thing is," her voice shifted, becoming more cautious, "I'm a little short on funds right now. The mortgage payment came early this month, and with the car repairs." Perfect. She needed something from me, which meant I held the power in this conversation. The irony tasted bitter and sweet simultaneously. "How much do you need, sweetheart?" Silence stretched across the line. She'd expected resistance, negotiation. My immediate agreement caught her off guard. "Are you sure? I mean, it would be about $2,000 for the flight and hotel." $2,000. I wrote the number, circling it. "When do you leave?" "Next Friday morning. We'll be gone until the following Sunday." "Dad, you seem different today. Are you feeling all right?" Different? If only she knew how different. "I'm feeling quite well, actually. Better than I have in months. Tell me more about this trip. Where exactly are you staying?" As Julie chatted about resort details and excursion plans, I filled my notepad with information. Departure date, return date, hotel name. Her complete absence from Michigan for 14 days. She was handing me the weapon for my own defense without realizing it. "The resort has this amazing spa, and Sarah says the snorkeling is incredible. We're planning to do deep-sea fishing one day too. It all sounds perfect. You'll have such wonderful memories. Dad, you're being awfully supportive about this. I thought you might worry about me traveling so far." Smart girl. She sensed something unusual in my enthusiasm, but greed outweighed suspicion. She needed that money too badly to examine my motives too closely. I want my daughter to see the world, Julie. Life's too short to stay in one place forever. The words carried double meaning she couldn't hear. Life was indeed too short to let ungrateful children dispose of me without consequences. Thank you so much, Dad. I'll come by Monday evening to pick up the check, if that works. Of course, I'll have everything ready. Everything ready, including plans she couldn't imagine. After hanging up, I stared at my notes. 2 weeks alone while she spent my money on vacation. 2 weeks to prepare. 2 weeks to show my children what happened when they underestimated their old man. The morning sun streamed through my kitchen window, illuminating dust motes dancing in the air. Everything looked the same as yesterday, but everything had changed. I was no longer the helpless widower they could shuffle off to storage. I was Lester Carpenter, and this was still my house. Sunday evening arrived with the predictability of a funeral service. I sat in my study at exactly 6:30, notepad open with Russell's name already written at the top. The landline rang precisely on schedule. "Hey, Dad, how was your weekend?" Russell's voice carried that careful tone he used in court, measured, strategic. I adjusted my reading glasses and picked up my pen. "Peaceful, son. Spent time in the garden, caught up on some reading. How about you?" "Good, good. Listen, something interesting happened yesterday. Remember Mike from my office? His mom finally made a big decision." Mike's mom. I'd never heard of either of them, but I played along. "Oh? What kind of decision?" "She moved to Sunny Gardens assisted living facility. You know, the nice one near the shopping center? Mike was really worried about her rattling around in that big house all alone." There it was, the same phrase Julie had used, rattling around. I wrote it down, underlining it twice. "Really? What made her decide to move?" "Well, Dad, she's 82, and that house was just too big for one person. Plus, safety concerns. What if she fell and nobody was around to help?" Russell's enthusiasm was building, like a salesman warming to his pitch. I continued taking notes, documenting every manipulative word. "And what happened to her house?" "They sold it, actually. Mike said she was relieved to be free of all that maintenance and upkeep. Now she has medical staff nearby, planned meals, social activities." The sell was in full swing now. I tapped my pen rhythmically against the notepad, calculating each rehearsed benefit. "How long has she been there?" "About 6 months. Mike visits every week, and he says she's happier than she's been in years." "Really, Dad, it's wonderful to see elderly people getting the community and care they deserve." Elderly people. At 68, apparently I qualified for their disposal category. "That does sound like a positive change for her. Mike must be relieved." "Exactly. That's actually why I'm calling. Julie mentioned you might be thinking about your own living situation, and I wanted you to know there are really excellent options out there." Julie mentioned. The coordination was complete. Both my children had discussed my fate, planned my future, and now Russell was delivering the second half of their rehearsed performance. "Julie suggested you call me about this." "Well, we both worry about you in that big house, Dad. We just want what's best for you. What's best for me." I looked out my study window at the lake reflecting twilight colors. What's best was apparently selling my life's work to fund their ambitions. "I appreciate your concern, Russell. This Sunny Gardens place, is it expensive?" "Not at all, much less than maintaining a house and property. And think about it. No more yard work, no more repairs, no more worrying about utilities or upkeep. He was selling freedom from responsibility while they claim my responsibilities as their inheritance. You've obviously thought this through carefully. We just love you, Dad. We want to make sure you're safe and comfortable in your golden years." Golden years. The phrase sounded like a euphemism for profitable disposal. "I'll certainly consider it, son. Thank you for thinking of me." "Of course. Maybe we could drive out there next weekend just to take a look. No pressure, obviously." "No pressure? Just coordinated manipulation from both children simultaneously." "That might be nice. Let me think about it." After hanging up, I compared my notes from both calls. Too big for one person. Rattling around. Safety concerns. Community and care. The phrases matched perfectly, like testimony coached by the same attorney. Both my children. Julie needing money for Mexico while planning to warehouse me. Russell offering legal expertise to facilitate my disposal. They'd forgotten I'd spent 40 years in construction, where you learn to recognize shoddy work and fraudulent contracts. I closed the notebook and walked to my study window. Darkness was settling over the lake, but my reflection in the glass showed a man who was finally seeing clearly. The evidence was complete. Now the real work could begin. Monday morning brought the kind of clarity that only comes after sleeping soundly for the first time in days. I woke at 7 sharp, mind focused and hands steady. Decision-making always brought me peace. It was the uncertainty that caused suffering. I made coffee in Mary's favorite mug and sat at the kitchen table with both children's notes spread before me. Julie's Mexico vacation, Russell's nursing home sales pitch. The coordination was obvious now, their strategy transparent as morning light through my windows. If they want me gone, they'll get their wish, I said to the empty kitchen, but not their inheritance. The house felt different as I walked through it room by room. Not like a home being evaluated for sale, but like a construction project being methodically planned. In the living room, I removed one family photo from the mantel, Julie and Russell as children, laughing on the dock. The rest stayed for staging purposes. In our master bedroom, I opened Mary's old suitcase and packed systematically. 3 changes of clothes, toiletries, important documents, a few meaningful photographs. Everything else would stay behind as props in the performance I was directing. At my desk, I powered up the computer and began researching real estate agents. Lake properties move fast in this market. Vincent Ruiz had excellent reviews and promised quick sales for motivated sellers. I scheduled an appointment for Wednesday afternoon. Next came banking research. My savings, pension fund, investment accounts, everything tallied to substantial security for my remaining years. More than enough for a comfortable life elsewhere while teaching my children about the true cost of betrayal. The garden drew me outside around 9 o'clock. Spring flowers bloomed everywhere. Daffodils, tulips, the early roses Julie and I had planted when she still believed in family loyalty. I knelt beside them, pressing weathered palms against soil I'd cultivated for decades. Every stone in the walkway placed by my hands. Every tree planted for shade I'd thought would shelter grandchildren. The gazebo, where Mary and I had shared morning coffee, watching the lake wake up. All of it built with love, maintained with pride, soon to be sold for justice. In the garage, I selected a few special tools. The hammer Russell had learned to use, the level that had ensured every wall stood straight, the measuring tape that had sized every board, symbols of what I'd built versus what I was leaving behind. The phone rang at 10:15, Vincent Ruiz confirming Wednesday's appointment. I understand you're interested in selling quickly, Mr. Carpenter? Within 2 weeks if possible. Speed is more important than maximum price. Lakefront properties are in incredible demand right now. I have clients specifically looking for something like yours. Perfect. The timeline was working exactly as planned. No family consultation needed? I'm the sole owner, Mr. Ruiz. The decision is entirely mine. After ending the call, I sat in my study looking at the research I'd compiled. Real estate agents, market values, moving companies, storage facilities. The logistics of starting over at 68 weren't complicated for someone who'd spent a lifetime solving problems with his hands. Julie would return from Mexico expecting to find a father weakened by Russell's psychological pressure, ready to consider sunny gardens. Instead, she'd find signed contracts and a father who'd learned to play their game better than they'd imagined possible. I opened the front door at exactly 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon. A well-dressed man in his late 40s extended his hand. Mr. Carpenter, Vincent Ruiz, Great Lakes Real Estate. Right on time, I said, shaking his hand firmly. Please, come in. Vincent's enthusiasm was genuine and infectious, exactly what I needed for the task ahead. He stood in my entryway turning slowly, taking in the vaulted ceilings, hardwood floors, and lake view visible through the great room windows. Magnificent property, Mr. Carpenter. The lakefront location is absolutely prime real estate. I led him through the house systematically, watching his professional excitement build with each room. His tablet captured measurements and photographs, while he maintained a steady stream of market commentary. With this square footage and these maintained gardens, I'd estimate market value around $800,000. Properties in this condition typically move within 1 to 2 weeks maximum. $800,000. The exact figure Julie had mentioned to her co-conspirator. My children had researched well, but they'd miscalculated their father's response to betrayal. How quickly can we close once we have a buyer? If you're truly motivated to sell, Mr. Carpenter, I can expedite everything. Cash buyers can close in 7 to 10 days. We moved outside to evaluate the gardens. Vincent photographed the dock, measured the lot boundaries, and noted the mature landscaping that had taken me decades to establish. The outdoor space alone adds tremendous value. Lakefront lots are incredibly scarce. Most buyers would pay premium prices just for the location. And the fastest you've ever sold a property this size? Last year, I moved a similar lakefront home in 6 days, multiple offers above asking price. He looked up from his tablet with professional confidence. I already have 3 clients who've been searching for exactly this type of property. Inside, we completed the systematic evaluation. Vincent examined the basement, praised the updated electrical and plumbing, and marveled at the stone fireplace I'd built with my own hands. Each compliment felt like validation of work Julie and Russell saw merely as dollar signs. We could have showings scheduled by Friday if you're comfortable moving that quickly. I'm very comfortable with speed, Mr. Ruiz. At the kitchen table, Vincent spread out contracts and marketing materials. His pitch was thorough and professional. Photography, online listings, showing schedules, commission structure, everything designed to maximize sale price and minimize timeline. I assume all documentation can be handled efficiently? Absolutely. I work with the best title company in the county. They'll handle all paperwork, inspections, and legal requirements seamlessly. I signed preliminary agreements with steady hands, feeling no emotional attachment to the house anymore. It had become a weapon in my war against ingratitude, nothing more or less. One question, Mr. Carpenter. Are there any family considerations I should be aware of? Sometimes adult children have opinions about these decisions. My children live their own lives, Mr. Ruiz. They'll understand this is purely my business decision. Vincent nodded, accustomed to elderly clients managing their own affairs. He packed up his materials efficiently, leaving me with copies of everything we'd signed. I'll have professional photography scheduled for tomorrow morning, and the listing will go live by Thursday evening. Given the property's condition and location, I expect immediate interest. Perfect timeline. At the door, Vincent shook my hand with the satisfaction of a man who just secured a valuable commission. This is going to be a very successful sale, Mr. Carpenter. Properties like yours are exactly what buyers dream of finding. I watched his car disappear down the lakeside drive, holding the signed contracts that would transform my children's expectations into harsh lessons about family loyalty. The performance was beginning, and all the actors were playing their parts perfectly. Julie was probably lying on a beach in Cancun, spending my vacation money without a care in the world. Russell was likely preparing gentle conversation about nursing home visits, both of them confident in their father's predictable compliance. They'd forgotten that compliance, like respect, had to be earned. Saturday morning at Vincent's office felt like attending a funeral, where I was both mourner and executor. The Morrison family arrived promptly at 11. Tom and Sarah, with their teenage twins, all genuine smiles and excited energy about their lakefront purchase. We fell in love with this house at first sight. Tom Morrison pumped my hand enthusiastically. The craftsmanship is incredible. You built most of it yourself? Every board and stone, I confirmed, settling into the conference room chair. Legal documents covered the polished table like evidence at trial. Sarah Morrison leaned forward with maternal warmth. The garden is absolutely magnificent. You must have spent decades creating it. My wife Mary started the roses. I just kept them growing after she passed. Their daughter bounced in her chair. Dad, can we really have our own boat dock? This is like having our own private lake. Vincent orchestrated the proceedings with professional efficiency, guiding us through inspection reports, title searches, and final walkthrough confirmations. Every signature brought me closer to justice. All systems passed inspection perfectly, Vincent announced. Electrical, plumbing, foundation, everything's in excellent condition. The wire transfer authorization required careful attention. $800,000 moving from the Morrisons' bank to mine by Monday morning. I signed my name with the same steady hand that had once framed walls and laid foundations. Mr. Carpenter, Sarah Morrison said softly, this house has such wonderful energy. We promise to take good care of everything you've built here. Better care than my own children had planned. The Morrisons saw a home. Julie and Russell had seen a commodity. Tom Morrison studied the original blueprints I'd provided. These drawings show incredible attention to detail. The way you designed the morning light through the kitchen windows, genius. Mary loved her morning coffee there. She said the sunrise made every day feel hopeful. The key exchange felt ceremonial, 40 years of memories reduced to metal objects passing between strangers' hands. But these strangers would build new memories where mine had soured. Take special care of the old oak by the water, I told them. I planted it when my children were small. It should outlive us all. Vincent presented final documentation with practice ceremony, deed transfer, tax assessments, closing statements, legal proof that Lester Carpenter no longer owned the house that defined his life. The teenager boy spoke up shyly. "Sir, would you mind if we sent you pictures sometimes of how the garden grows and stuff?" "That's very kind, but I'll be traveling. You make it your own now." Outside the office, Tom Morrison shook my hand one final time. "We'll never be able to thank you enough for building such a perfect family home. Perfect for families who understood the value of family." I drove toward Detroit, feeling lighter than I had in weeks. The rearview mirror showed Vincent's office growing smaller, along with the last physical tie to my old life. Monday, the money would clear. Tuesday, I'd make some very important phone calls. By Wednesday, when Julie returned from Mexico, she'd discovered that filial ingratitude carried a steeper price than she'd calculated. My temporary Detroit apartment felt like a war room Sunday afternoon. 2 suitcases held my entire remaining wardrobe, while financial documents spread across the kitchenette table like battle plans. At 3 o'clock, I pulled out my notebook and began dialing. Russell answered on the second ring, voice bright with weekend relaxation. "Dad, perfect timing. How are you feeling about everything?" "Which everything would that be, son?" "Vincent called Friday about the house sale. Congratulations. I can't believe how quickly it happened." Vincent had kept his promise about rapid turnaround. Russell's excitement was unmistakable, barely contained behind his lawyer's professional tone. "The Morrison family seemed very nice," I said carefully. "They'll take good care of the property." "That's wonderful, Dad. Really wonderful. So, what's next? Have you had a chance to visit Sunny Gardens like we discussed?" "Straight to business. My son wanted to know when I'd complete my transformation from homeowner to warehouse dependent. I'm taking time to consider all my options, Russell. No need to rush these important decisions." Of course. Take all the time you need. But, Dad, we should probably start discussing practical matters, like managing the proceeds from the sale. I'd be happy to help with investments, financial planning. There it was. The money management offer. Russell couldn't wait to get his hands on what he considered his inevitable inheritance. "I appreciate your concern, son. Don't worry about the financial details just yet. Everything's being handled properly." "Are you sure? $800,000 is a significant sum to manage alone." $800,000. He'd done the math before I'd even signed the papers. "I managed to build that house and raise 2 children, Russell. I think I can handle my own money." His laugh carried nervous energy. "You're absolutely right, Dad. I just want to make sure you're getting the best possible advice." After 20 minutes of financial small talk, I ended the call and immediately dialed Julie's number in Mexico. The international connection crackled before she answered breathlessly. "Dad! Oh my goodness! Russell just texted me about the house. I can't believe it sold so fast." Julie's voice carried genuine shock mixed with poorly concealed excitement. Background noise suggested she was by a pool, probably planning how to spend money she'd never receive. "I hope I didn't interrupt your vacation, sweetheart." No, I was just lying in the sun thinking about you. I feel terrible being here while you handled such a huge decision alone." Terrible enough to cut her vacation short? Hardly. "You deserve your time away, Julie. Enjoy every minute of it." "This is such a relief, Dad. We've worried about you in that big house for so long. Now you can find somewhere perfect for this stage of your life. This stage of my life. As if being 68 meant automatic incompetence and dependence. When you get back Wednesday, we should sit down and talk about your future," she continued. "There are so many good options now that the house situation is resolved." The house situation. 40 years of marriage and construction reduced to a situation that needed resolving. "We'll definitely talk when you return, Julie. I have several decisions to share with both you and Russell. I'm so proud of you for making this smart choice, Dad. Really, truly proud. Proud of me for doing exactly what they'd manipulated me into doing. Thank you, sweetheart. Finish enjoying Mexico. We'll catch up soon enough. After hanging up, I reviewed my notes from both conversations. Russell focused on money management. Julie emphasized her pride in my smart choice. Neither had asked how I felt about leaving the home where their mother and I had built our life together. Both assumed they were inheriting $800,000 minus whatever I spent on assisted living. Both were congratulating themselves on successfully manipulating their naive father. Tuesday morning, I'd visit the Support for Abandoned Parents Foundation. By Wednesday evening, my children would learn the true cost of treating family like a financial transaction. I opened my laptop and searched for flights to Italy. Starting over at 68 would require courage, but spite was proving an excellent motivator. Tuesday morning found me standing before the Support for Abandoned Parents Foundation in downtown Detroit, wearing my best suit like armor for battle. The briefcase in my hand contained bank documents that would transform $800,000 from my children's expected inheritance into justice for families who'd genuinely been abandoned. Dr. Margaret Chen greeted me in the lobby with professional warmth. 55 years old, with kind eyes that had clearly witnessed too much family cruelty, she guided me to a conference room where mission statements covered the walls like testimonials. Mr. Carpenter, this is an extraordinarily generous donation. May I ask what motivated such a significant gift? I opened my briefcase methodically, spreading financial documents across the polished table. My children believe they're inheriting this money, Dr. Chen. They've spent months planning how to dispose of me to access it. James Rodriguez, the Foundation's legal counsel, leaned forward with practiced attention. We encounter many parents in similar situations. Family abandonment takes various forms. They coordinated their approach, I continued, pulling out my notebook with documented phone conversations. My daughter needed money for Mexico while plotting to put me in a nursing home. My son offered legal expertise to facilitate my disposal. Dr. Chen's expression shifted from professional interest to personal understanding. How did you discover their plans? Julie forgot to hang up the phone after asking about my garden. I heard her discussing my house value with someone, calculating when they'd have access to the money. The conference room fell silent except for papers rustling as James reviewed my financial documentation. Bank statements, house sale proceeds, investment accounts. $750,000 ready for immediate transfer. This donation will help hundreds of parents who are experiencing genuine abandonment, Dr. Chen said carefully. Are you certain about keeping only $50,000 for yourself? $50,000 is more than enough to start over somewhere. My children will never think to look. I want the rest to serve parents whose children actually abandoned them, not those who abandoned their children first. James spread legal documents across the table. The tax benefits are substantial, though I understand that's not your primary motivation. This donation qualifies as completely irrevocable. You understand the permanent nature? Permanently removing $750,000 from my children's future? That's exactly what I want. Dr. Chen showed me photographs of elderly people they had helped, genuine victims of family cruelty who'd lost homes, savings, and dignity to ungrateful children. My money would fund emergency assistance, legal advocacy, social programs connecting isolated seniors. Your gift will create a lasting legacy of support for parents who have nowhere else to turn. Better legacy than funding Julie's vacations and Russell's investment portfolios. The paperwork took an hour. Irrevocable donation agreements, bank transfer authorizations, tax documentation, official receipts. Each signature felt like justice being served with mathematical precision. We'll provide complete documentation for your records, James assured me. The transfer will be complete by tomorrow morning. Tomorrow my children expect to start planning their inheritance, I replied. Instead, they'll learn what it means to mistake their father's generosity for weakness. Dr. Chen walked me to the lobby. Will you stay in Michigan, Mr. Carpenter? I'm flying to Italy Thursday morning. Tuscany, perhaps. Somewhere with good wine and people who understand that family means more than money. Outside the foundation office, Detroit's spring air felt different, lighter. $750,000 would serve abandoned parents instead of rewarding abandoning children. The symmetry pleased me enormously. Wednesday afternoon, Julie would return from Mexico expecting to find a father weakened by guilt and ready to discuss assisted living options. Instead, she'd find certified letters explaining exactly where her inheritance had gone and why. $50,000 would fund a very comfortable retirement in Italy. Justice would be served daily with excellent pasta. Friday evening settled over my temporary Detroit apartment, like a curtain falling on the final act. The small desk by the window held everything needed for this last communication with my children: quality stationery, Mary's fountain pen, and 42 years of disappointment distilled into the perfect words. I arranged the workspace with ritual precision: lamp position just right, paper aligned perfectly, pen tested on scrap paper. This letter would end our relationship, so every detail mattered. The first attempt came out too angry. Harsh words about betrayal and greed filled 3 paragraphs before I crumpled the paper and started fresh. Anger wasn't the point. Understanding was. My second try read too cold, like a legal document. Formal language about financial decisions and charitable contributions missed the human element entirely. Into the wastebasket it went. The third draft explained too much. I wrote paragraphs about the overheard phone conversation, their coordinated manipulation, my feelings of hurt and abandonment. But they didn't deserve lengthy explanations. They deserved consequences. I picked up Mary's fountain pen, the one she'd given me for our 20th anniversary, and began the final version. Each word chosen carefully, every sentence crafted for maximum impact. "My dear Julie," I wrote, then stopped, paused, continued. "You wanted to sell the house and send me to a nursing home. I heard your conversation that Thursday evening when you forgot to hang up the phone. The house is sold, as you wished, but I donated the money to charity, the Support for Abandoned Parents Foundation. You always said you love doing good for others. I hope you're satisfied. With love, your father." Perfect. Every word necessary, nothing wasted. I read it aloud to test the emotional weight. The disappointment came through clearly, along with the devastating revelation and the final ironic twist. Russell's letter required only his name substituted for Julie's. The message applied equally to both conspirators. I transcribed both letters in my best handwriting, taking care with each stroke. This was my final gift to them: clarity about what their greed had cost. The envelopes deserved the same attention: formal addressing and careful script, their full names and addresses copied precisely from my address book. Appropriate postage affixed with geometric precision. Mary's old wax seal sat in the desk drawer, unused since her death. I heated it over a candle flame and pressed our family crest into the red wax on each envelope. Formal, final, fitting. The sealed letters sat side by side on the desk, ready for tomorrow's postal delivery. Certified mail with signature required. They'd have to acknowledge receiving their final communication from their father. I turned off the desk lamp and looked out the window at Detroit's evening lights. Somewhere out there, my children were living their lives, planning their future with money that no longer existed. By Tuesday morning, they'd understand the true cost of treating family like a business transaction. The alarm clock would wake me early for the post office trip. Then travel arrangements, bank visits, final preparations. Tuesday I'd be airborne over the Atlantic, while they read words that would change everything. Saturday morning brought the kind of crisp clarity that accompanies irreversible decisions. I dressed carefully in my best suit, placed the sealed letters in my jacket pocket, and headed out for the final errands of my American life. The post office opened at 9 sharp. Behind the counter, a middle-aged clerk processed my certified mail with professional efficiency. "These need to be delivered Tuesday morning," I said, sliding the letters across the counter. "Certified mail with signature confirmation," she confirmed, filling out forms. "Tuesday delivery guaranteed. The recipients must sign personally." Perfect timing. I paid the fees and tucked the tracking receipts into my wallet. Legal proof that justice would be delivered exactly when I planned. From the post office, I drove to Westside Travel Agency. Maria Santos, an enthusiastic woman in her 50s, specialized in European destinations for senior travelers. "Italy in springtime is absolutely magical, Mr. Carpenter. Is this your first visit to Rome?" "Yes, I'm starting a new chapter of my life." She spread brochures across her desk: ancient ruins, Renaissance art, outdoor cafes overlooking cobblestone streets. "How exciting. Are you meeting family there?" "No family involved, just me discovering what comes next." Maria arranged everything with practiced expertise. Tuesday departure from Detroit Metro at 11 a.m., arriving Wednesday morning at Rome Fiumicino. Small boutique hotel near the Spanish Steps, perfect for exploring the city. One-way ticket with flexible return options. The hotel has a rooftop terrace with views of the Eternal City, Maria explained, printing boarding passes. You'll love the evening light over the red tile roofs. At the bank, I finalized international access arrangements for my remaining $50,000. Account transfers, credit card notifications, safe deposit box closure. The manager reviewed my recent charitable donation with professional admiration. $750,000 to charity. That's remarkably generous, Mr. Carpenter. Sometimes generosity serves justice better than selfishness, I replied. Back at the apartment, I completed final packing. One suitcase containing essentials for starting over at 68. Mary's photograph went in my carry-on, along with her wedding ring and our important documents. Everything else stayed behind. Furniture, household items, the accumulated weight of a lifetime I was leaving behind. The apartment key went on the kitchen counter for the landlord. Utilities would be shut off automatically. Mail forwarding directed to the travel agency. A dead end for anyone trying to track me down. I took a final look around the temporary space that had housed my transformation from victim to avenger. Empty now, ready for the next tenant, no trace of the man who'd planned perfect revenge within these walls. Tuesday morning, I'd wake up, grab my suitcase, and head to the airport. At 11 a.m., I'd be airborne toward a new life in Italy. At 10 a.m., certified mail would be delivered to 2 recipients who had no idea their world was about to end. The timing couldn't be more perfect. By the time my children realized what had happened, I'd be over the Atlantic Ocean, traveling toward a future they'd never be part of. Justice and geography working together to ensure complete victory. Tuesday morning arrived with the precision of a perfectly executed plan. At Detroit Metro Airport, I moved through familiar routines that would carry me away from 48 years of Michigan life towards something entirely new. The airline counter processed my boarding pass efficiently. One suitcase, window seat, passport verified for European travel. My phone buzzed with text messages as I collected my documents, but I left it unanswered. At 10 a.m. exactly, certified mail was being delivered to 2 addresses, and I had no interest in the resulting chaos. Security moved smoothly. The carry-on bag containing Mary's photograph and my essential documents passed through scanning without issue. My phone continued buzzing, calls, texts, voicemails accumulating as my children discovered their devastating surprise. At the departure gate, I found a quiet corner and examined my phone one final time. 47 missed calls, 23 voicemails, 31 text messages, all from Julie and Russell, their panic escalating with each unanswered attempt at contact. I scrolled through Russell's texts. "Dad, we need to talk immediately. This donation can be reversed legally. Call me now. We can work this out." His lawyer's mind was already searching for solutions that didn't exist. Julie's voicemails grew increasingly frantic. "Dad, what does this letter mean? Call me back right now. You can't have donated our money. I'm driving to Detroit. Don't you dare ignore me." Her voice cracked with rage and disbelief. The boarding announcement echoed through the terminal. I powered off the phone completely, removed the battery, and dropped both pieces into the seat back pocket in front of me. No more calls, no more manipulation, no more family. Through the airplane window, I watched Detroit shrink below as we climbed toward cruising altitude. Somewhere down there, my children were probably converging on my empty apartment, pounding on doors that would never open, calling lawyers who couldn't reverse irrevocable donations, screaming at each other about the fortune they'd lost through their own greed. The flight attendant offered beverages. I requested wine, good Italian wine to toast my new beginning. The man beside me, a businessman heading to Rome for meetings, made polite conversation about travel plans. "Vacation or business?" he asked. "New life," I replied simply. At 30,000 feet, crossing into international airspace, I pulled out Mary's photograph. She smiled from behind the glass, frozen in time at our lakeside home during happier years when our children still loved us for more than our money. "We're going to see Italy, Mary," I whispered, "just like you always wanted." Behind me, an ocean separated me from children who had finally learned the true cost of betrayal. Ahead lay Rome, Tuscany, wine country, art museums, sidewalk cafes. A retirement funded by justice instead of reward for ingratitude. My phone would eventually power up to hundreds of messages. voicemails filled with rage, threats of legal action, desperate bargaining, false promises of reconciliation. I'd never hear any of them. Julie and Russell would eventually understand that their father had vanished as completely as their inheritance. They'd wanted me gone to access my money. Instead, I'd gone and taken the money with me, not for myself, but for parents who deserved better than they'd received. Perfect justice served at 40,000 feet above the Atlantic. Rome awaited, so did the rest of my life. If you like this story, please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your impressions of this story in the comments. To listen to the next story, click on the box on the left. Thank you for watching.